When did that correlation happen when you realized this is affecting my adulthood?
When I was having sex with women just because I was bored, it was like a coping thing. If I was sad, sex. If I was happy, sex. If I was angry, sex.
Being in different relationships where I genuinely wanted it to work, and I literally had no self-control at all. Cheating, I had no reason as to why.
I was very awkward just about my sexuality for a while. Like, even now, like, when people are like, oh, like, you just don't have sex with people, it's just like, no.
And still, I feel no pressure. Surrounded by dogs, giving you game, we giving you lecture. Say thank you to God, we got another day to be better. And if it get hard, just need another day with the fellas. We bout to give you that work. Say your name like it's church. We finna give you that work. Just like Serena, we serve. You want the truth by your shirt. My phone get fly like bird. But we all lost boys, no search.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Nun The Wizer podcast. Y'all already know who we here with. We got El Presidente, the Commander-in-Chief, Mr. Big Trip in the building. Show that man some love. You already know we got the audio guy, Mr. Podcast Poe in the building. And we got a camera on her today, so First lady in the building. Amara holding it down on the camera. You can actually see her getting her work in.
People was asking, what does she look like?
They're like, damn, she's bad. They about to be in your inbox. Y'all better leave her alone. And then you got me, of course, and Bears Watchadamas. We are kind of winging it today. We're not supposed to. We had a topic to talk about, but
They don't want to talk about it.
I just feel like
It's a little heavy.
it's a little heavy. We're going to get to it. We're not going to spill the beans on what it is, because I do think that it's a topic that needs our full attention. Maybe not what's in this cup on it. But with that being said, we were just having a conversation about when you lost your virginity. Did you lose it to someone who you were in a relationship with, or was it just, somebody that was just giving it up, or how did that happen for you guys? For me, it was somebody that I knew was giving it up. So
out here in the street?
No, because it was one of those things where it's like, damn, nigga, you ain't get no pussy yet? And it's just like, I wouldn't.
How old were
You just
you?
needed anybody.
I just needed it to happen.
How old were you?
I was 15 or 16, one of the two. It was that time, because people was on my ass. Like, I used to sell.
Crazy.
I used to
This is
sell
crazy.
ice.
I hate this conversation.
It's crazy because that peer pressure shit's for real.
It is.
I used to sell push icy. So there was a dude that he was from New York, but he brought, like, those icy carts, you scoop them.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he brought them to North Carolina when I lived there. So we worked for him. And there's a lot of young dudes, but they're older than me. And they're talking, yeah, I was smashing this bitch last night. And he was like, you don't get no pussy. And I was like a square. And he was right. I wasn't getting no pussy. So I was like, it's time. So it happened. It wasn't amazing, but
I'm scared of New York.
it was definitely something that I was like, it happened.
Yeah.
Finally got some pussy. So you guys can leave me alone. But it was definitely not something I would like. I wanted, because I was during that time, I was on that, oh no, I'm gonna wait till I'm married and all this shit. Now I'm like, married? The fuck? So
You should have waited till you was married.
yeah, I would still be waiting. So definitely wasn't doing that. But
God would have rewarded you.
so definitely not a relationship. But yeah, that was my story. I'll ask you, was yours a relationship?
Yeah, it was a relationship. I was also 15. I won't say it was peer pressure, but it was my first time, and it was her first time, I think.
Allegedly.
I got hit with one of those before.
What does that mean?
Allegedly.
You know what that means. I got hit with that same shit.
That means that she said it was her first time, but I don't recall.
He didn't
Seeing
see no
any-
cherry popping.
Yeah,
I mean, but that's not a...
yeah,
I know, but I was
yeah.
also, again, guys, I was 15, so I'm just saying I don't know.
Yeah, based on
Based on what I was told.
cherry pop. Yeah.
Like, you
So
can break your hymen doing a split, just so you know.
hymen is a crazy word.
I don't like that.
That's what it
Sound
is.
about
It's
it.
a-
Hey, yeah, I don't like that word.
Sounds like a wrestling move or something.
Okay, well, that's a hymen.
The Heimlich removal.
But I mirror the same sentiment. Like I wasn't peer pressured with her, but my desire to do it at 15. I just, you know what I'm saying?
It was time. It was like, all right, I'm tired of being the square. I'm ready to square. Like, I'm ready to square. I'm like playing with Pokemon cards, Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I'm like, nigga, how much more loser can I be? And I ain't got that pussy. And now, you know, it's funny because now you go on social media and they're like, you gotta fuck with the nerds, the ones that are watching anime. I've been watching anime for 20 years.
Yeah.
The fuck? So,
this nigga Dell, bro. This nigga Trip looking like...
Trip's nervous, huh?
When did you lose your virginity?
Don't do that.
Was it in a relationship or outside a relationship?
You
clear the throat is crazy. You all right?
So it was definitely excuse me. Somebody that I was in a relationship with, I believe so. I'm almost positive we were in a relationship.
Who was it? No.
He's like, damn, tell me who it was. Oh, her?
But
Because
yeah,
I feel like he's stretching it.
Obviously we've already discussed like our lives and stuff like that. So I was already so far gone at that point. And yeah, it was kind of just one of those things where it's like, I mean,
might as well. Are you trying to put it in
choose your words wisely?
Yeah, I'm trying to choose my... All right, so peep. So here's my issue with this conversation, right? Mm-hmm. I know I'm about to kill the vibe. I'm sorry, guys.
It's okay.
It's okay.
My issue is that like it's a little uncomfortable, like hearing it out loud and saying these things out loud because we were kids.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just a little like goddamn. But anyhow, so I say that to say like at that point, I think I was 11 or 12, something like that, and.
Oh, you were a child.
Yeah, a child.
Okay.
15 is still.
Yeah.
I mean, he had his baby.
I think about it like this. I forget who I was talking to Joey the other day, and you don't think about it like this until you have kids. But it's like once you have kids, do you want like your 15-year-old having?
Absolutely not.
Like,
no, I hear that.
Yeah.
You know. So anyhow, with that being said, 12. Oh man.
And this was your girlfriend? You had a girlfriend at 12?
Yeah, she was a little older too.
Of course she was.
And she dealt with somebody that was older as well.
I feel like that
So when
happens
she
so much.
came to me, like, yeah, she was already on go mode. Like, she used to write me little poems and sex poems and shit.
So at 12 years old, what kind of like...
But hold on.
How much older was she?
Maybe like, if I'm 12, maybe she's 14.
Yeah, I could take that.
13.
Maybe we should
That's
talk
not
about what
taking
we're going to talk about.
So inappropriate.
But I was always like kind of a little mature in some... That's what I'm trying to say is like, I was already to the point where I guess due to everything that had already transpired.
You were exposed.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Exposed already.
Yeah.
And although I had, not even the slightest clue as to like, even a condom, like how to put it on or whatever the case is. Again, at that time, it's like you hear everybody talking, like you guys were just saying, about smashing. And I'm willing to bet that majority of the people that was talking about smashing was not smashing.
They wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
But just the conversation or whatever. So I remember she, again, already being sexually active, put her little 1-2 on me, and then yeah,
that was it.
I put my 1-2.
I put my 1.
Yeah,
one
it was like 2 seconds, and then that was it.
Yeah,
that's why I'm like, yo, does that even count? But yeah,
I don't know. That
was
sounds kind of sad.
It's yeah.
It is.
I think across the board it's sad.
I mean, yeah, I was just about to say that's why for me, like, obviously I'm trying to like be lighthearted about it, but it's all like, damn, like, where.
Well, how does that even become a prevalent thing? And is that in like the communities like of color, or is that like just a thing where we're so hypersexual at such an early age?
All right, we're here.
Remember that meme?
No, we're here.
Meme?
Let's do it.
We're here.
Remember that meme the other day?
Yeah, no. What did it say?
It said
we're so hypersexual because the generation before us molested us.
Yep.
Correct.
Well, somehow we got here.
Yep. I mean, we're here.
Yeah, we're here.
Let's have the conversation.
But I also think that it's very strange that like older women most of the time, like not women, I mean, I guess they're kids, but like older girls usually take their virginity of younger boys. I think that's so weird. So
I don't when it's probably an older boy who took theirs.
But I think that most of the time, like when like little boys are losing their virginity at like 11, 12, like this is not the first time I heard that same dynamic. It's always an older girl that took their virginity. It's like, I don't know. It's very strange.
Yeah, I just
Hey, what's up, doggy?
you always get to see the dog.
It's
in your
every
seat.
single
Yeah.
time, man. He comes like, yo, what's up,
He always
bro?
comes at the same time. though.
I don't know, like, because I think about it now as a 36-year-old adult. Like, I could have went.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Is that what we do? Did he just?
Nah, I didn't
He
even
just
think
dark
it until
you?
after. And I'm like, oh.
Did this nigga just dog cheat to me? Damn. But no, I just because honestly, like outside of being in that space where I felt like I was the oddball out, sex was like the furthest thing from my mind in some retrospect, right? Like I watched porn and stuff very young, and it was more so I wouldn't say exposure than access. It's like, oh shit, a porno tape.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily know what it was, but once you see it, like you see it. But it wasn't something that I was like pushed towards.
Yeah.
So like it wasn't heavy in my my mind.
That's crazy because that was my experience with porn as well. Shit, I was probably like
I was super young, maybe
five,
like 6, 5.
6, something like
I was
that.
4 or 5.
And one of my cousin's parents had some in a DVR. What's the
DVD
tape?
VHS.
Yeah, VCR.
like shit like that.
VCR.
Like, or it might have been like
VHS.
a
The tape is
DVD.
VHS.
Or
Yeah, but the actual VCR, you put it in. Yeah.
I honestly might have been
We
like
old as
very
hell.
very early DVD type shit. But anyhow, it was in there, and you know we were trying to watch TV.
That shit came
Shit
right
turned on,
Boom, boom.
and after that, it was like,
yeah.
oh
Yeah.
shit.
But okay, here's a good question, right? We come to let me throw that. We come to the age of what is it? Of you know when you grow up and all that. Why can I not think of the
Maturity?
word? Not maturity, but when you're growing up and all, you know, everything's starting to come together. Puberty. Sorry, guys. Had a brain fart. Naturally, we come to puberty around what age?
13.
13. So it's like, how unnatural.
I feel like it's getting the age is getting lower.
It's probably getting lower. Yeah, especially for like.
I feel like 10.
I think for women it's more well, not I would say more prevalent. It's just that they're going through more processes. You know, like more visual things, periods, boobs are growing, all that stuff. It's a lot more going on for you guys. But that stuff is happening. So it's like, is that something that we consider? I mean, it's your productive system's growing in that space. Do you think that has something to do with the hypersexuality at such a young age, or are we pushing a narrative?
No, I think we're pushing a narrative because most changes for the boys and girls are uncomfortable for them. To where like even my daughter is wearing bigger clothes. She'll wear bigger stuff now.
Right.
She won't like dress
That's a
tight.
good point.
You know what I mean? I think boys with erections, like we're hiding.
Yeah.
We're like, oh snap. You know what I'm
Even
saying?
girls with periods.
Yeah,
like,
right.
They don't even want to
So-
have the conversation. They want to avoid it. Obviously, you
Yeah.
got to
I
tell
didn't even tell my
somebody.
mom I had my period.
Exactly. Because you know you need pads, so you got to have the conversation eventually.
Right.
But like,
I just bought them.
it's embarrassing.
You just bought them. Yeah.
So,
Because it's just such an interesting thing. Like, because it's like, how do we get here? And if we're here now, how do we?
well, let's talk about that. The statement or whatever that
Yes.
Amara mentioned, because
Yeah, let's do it.
that's definitely one way. I'm sorry, I keep turning.
No, you good. Yep.
That's definitely one of the problems. Again, clearly, there's the craziest thing about it is that it's not even like just adults that are around you or whatever. It's peers and cousins or siblings or the boy next door or whatever. In terms of like
Molestation, yeah, just
and
yeah, but because she said you made a comment that said that women prevalently are kind of predatory towards younger boys, and which you followed up that they're usually predatory towards older men, and they're kind of like now it's kind of
they're the prey. Yeah,
and I don't. In my experience, I don't disagree with that. I've seen like the older kids be at high school dating like
the drug dealer.
Jeff.
You know what I mean? And again,
you better stop saying that.
That's crazy. Okay, but
that's true though.
Yeah, but you can't. You always give us hell, and then you're just gonna be thrown on.
What's he gonna do?
Okay, but but no,
no, but I'm saying like older guys. Like I remember, like I used to like walk in a store, like 40-year-old men would try to talk to me. I'm wearing a school skirt.
I mean,
right? Like with the saying Trinity Catholic High School. You know I'm in high school, and you're trying to talk to me as a grown ass man. It's like, what are you doing? Are you okay? No. All right. Cool.
It's sick.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you get to this place where
we said that we didn't want to talk about this topic, but we're
here. Somehow we got here.
Most people who I think become predatory were the prey at one point.
Yeah.
Right. So that kind of goes back to that post where it's like we're so over sexual or hypersexual because we were, the generation before molested us, and it's like that is the case. Me personally, I mean, being molested at 4 or 5 years old, you know what I'm saying, from an older cousin, to where, again, I'm waking up to a BJ, and you know what I'm saying, and then being made to perform oral sex on her afterwards while porn was on, and then being told, if you want it to keep happening, don't say nothing. And for someone that's ignorant, right, 4 or 5 years old, like, of course you want it to keep happening. Like it felt great, but I had no, like,
I don't know. I felt like it was weird as fuck for me.
Yeah.
I had a similar situation, and it was just utter fucking confusion. I don't know.
I think the most difficult part for that, like hearing that, is the awareness that how much older was your cousin than you?
It had to have been 10, maybe a little bit older, maybe between 10 and 12.
It's the awareness to know that you have to be doing something wrong because you're keeping it a secret.
Yeah.
And it's like, to have been put in that position and then put someone else in that position is crazy.
I think at 10 and 12, we have to remember that the said person is still a child too.
Yes.
And chances are, with a situation like that, like we just said, somebody probably violated her as well. So
I found out years later.
Whatever. Yeah. That was pretty much.
What is the relationship between you and that cousin? Is there a relationship?
Nah, it's estranged. I forgive her because, again, I know what happened to her, and we were young. You know what I'm saying? It sucks because of what I was exposed to so young, and the fights I've had to put up with in my adulthood.
That should change
to control.
you. It changes you
to control your urges, to like control just not over sexualizing women in general. Like there was a point where be driving down the street and, you know what I'm saying, girl with a is walking, you're like, I almost crashed my car a couple times just looking. Like, damn. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, and then to the point where like, it's just, it can be crippling and paralyzing to like your growth as a person. Like I was,
that's why I said like, it's not, it can be. Usually if you experience something like that, like it really changes you forever. First of all, I got some numbers. I was doing some research, right? People are 4 times more likely to experience PTSD as an adult, and about 3 times more likely to experience a major depressive episode as adults. So 4 times more likely to develop symptoms of drug abuse.
Based on what?
Yeah, I would just say, what is the
molested?
After being molested.
Okay, wow.
Sexual assault as a child.
That makes a lot of sense.
Molestation, all of that.
So What do you think is that trigger that finally gets you there as an adult, right? Where you, for you, 5 years old, it's something you deal with in your 30s. In between 5 and 30, when did that trigger point happen where it's like, this is affecting, well, when did that correlation happen where you realize this is affecting my adulthood?
When I was having sex with women just because I was bored, it was like a coping thing. If I was sad, sex. If I was happy, sex. If I was angry, sex. It was like, that was like the cure all. You know what I'm saying? So like I realized that it was affecting, and I was trying to be in a committed relationship. Yeah, no, for sure. And I was trying to be in a committed relationship. So it was like, can't really do that. You know what I'm saying? So now you just find yourself cheating and cheating and cheating.
That's where I learned, being in different relationships where I genuinely wanted it to work, and I literally had no self-control at all. Cheating, I had no reason as to why. You know, the conversations, why, like, what was in your mind, whatever, and I'm just like.
And a lot of times you're getting enough, like by most standards, you're getting more than enough at home.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, more won't hurt.
That's so sad.
Yeah.
How as the only girl in here, what is your reaction to this? Like, how do you feel on the opposite side? Like, I'm assuming you've not experienced any molestation or anything of that sort.
I mean, I have, but like, I don't think that it made me hypersexual. It made me more closed off. It made me not want to have sex.
And I think that was my experience too. I was also molested. But part of the clan.
Someone's gonna be like, y'all.
He's like, you sad traumas, niggas. But no, seriously. Fact. So, but I'm more on your space. It was more so like
I felt uncomfortable.
I was uncomfortable. Yeah. I was extremely embarrassed, and I was in foster care. So,
how old were you when it first started happening? Okay, so yeah.
But it just was like.
So that's the common age.
I was trying to bury that bitch deep. But it didn't make me hypersexual. It made me like hyposexual, where I was very afraid to have, because I mean, outside of the whole sexual thing, it's like, yo, you gotta satisfy too. And it's like, I might suck. And you know what I mean? So I had all these thoughts. It was like, okay, you know what I mean? Like, inadequate.
Even at that young? Sheesh.
Like, even that when I first lost my virginity, like, which I'm pretty sure I was terrible.
Oh, yeah, no, at 15, I definitely get that being a question.
But no, like, but I would say between like 5 and 15, like, it was just something I didn't think about. So then when it became something that was so heavy in conversation.
So there's like there's a space in between that it almost wasn't even there.
Yeah, it wasn't present.
That happened to me too. Dissociation. Yeah.
It wasn't present, but again, now you're with peers that are actually sexually active.
Right.
And now, like, you know, these are your peers. So
I think it's different for like a guy though and a girl. Like, from my experience, I feel like even like talking to my mom, like my mom like put a lot of like pressure to like be a virgin. So it's just like, even like she'd be like, oh, like you would tell me when you lose your virginity. It's just like, mom, like, please.
Yeah, that's awkward.
I'm never gonna do that.
Right. No, but I did like eventually tell her, but it was just like very like, I was very awkward just about my sexuality for a while. Like, even now, like when people are like, oh, like you just don't have sex with people, it's just like, no. Like, the fuck? Why are you doing that?
Here's another struggle that I've really like. I've ran into women that like aggressive sex, but because of my experience, I never want to put I don't know how, I can't. You good? You good? Like, because I can't be in a space where I feel like I'm putting you in an uncomfortable space, no matter how much you're asking for, because one no to me is enough no's.
See, for me, I don't like to feel like I'm not in control. If that makes sense.
But that's the weird part. I like being dominant, but I also am fearful of being over dominant to the point where it's like, when did this switch and turn into something different?
Right. Yeah, and I think that's crazy because for me, like I said, it's the complete opposite.
He wants to be in control.
Once I hit like 15 and I was really able to like say on my terms,
See, I can't do, like, mentally, I can't do that because it puts me in a space where it's like I'm taking advantage. And I never want to create a space that I've dealt with personally, because it's like, nah, I can't do that to someone else.
Yeah.
Even though, like, this is consensual and you're saying it, but it's like, I know this could get crazy, and it's like, at what point?
You're saying, like, actually, like, you know, like a choke, smack.
Oh, but they like that shit.
Oh, yeah,
but it's
I get what you're saying.
You feel,
no, I understand what he's saying.
No, I understand what he's
saying.
saying.
For me, I'm saying, like, it's less about all of that. Like, I'm cool, I guess, if that's what you like or whatever, great. But, like, for me, just more so somebody that's, like, just overly aggressive.
Yeah.
As far as, like, initiating and...
Oh, okay. No, that
me?
I'm
Like,
cool with. Like, you know what I mean?
I can't, like...
But no, it's like the physicality of it. It's
I
like,
remember one time, right? Another snowstorm story.
off the snow.
Actually, let me shut the fuck up.
Sip tea.
he's like,
you said that, everything's coming up.
Listen. So I'm gonna continue with a different story.
Oh, okay.
But
I thought he was just gonna ignore his.
pull up to this chick's crib, and she just gets straight to it. Like, I'm trying to, like, you know, lead with passion and slow, and she's just like damn near tossing me around, like, let's go. And I'm just like,
like I said, clutched his pearls.
yeah, like,
That's crazy.
couldn't even get my shit off after that point. I was just turned off entirely.
Yeah, I don't think I could ever do it. Like, I get the sentiment. It's like, you know what we're here for. Let's just do it. But it's just like, you want some water?
Yeah, like, you know, at least let me, like, she was like,
Wait, what was your relationship with this girl? Was this like, I was like, it was a hookup?
it was a
type thing?
hookup.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that.
But so, and we can get back to the conversation too. But what for me, what clicks in my mind is, okay, so you probably deal with niggas who treat you like this and just you're an object.
Yep.
Yeah.
But some women like to be objectified.
Yeah, well,
But for like, you.
But that's what I'm saying. Where is the line? That's what I'm saying. It's like, when is that line drawn? And I don't ever want to be in a position where I'm drawing that
Even
line.
close to it.
You feel what I'm saying? So it's like, it's always in my head, because it's like, I don't, as much as I'm in control, I'm not in control of that narrative if you're telling it.
I'm not gonna lie. I like to be in control. I don't like other people to be in control. But that's just like, just,
as long as
just like a safety thing. Like,
it's
if
my
I'm not in
partner,
control, like,
like
I don't
pineapples.
feel like I'm safe. Like, oh, okay, you're going a little too hard.
Yeah, a
Like,
little bit
let's-
too. Yeah.
Let's calm down.
Well, that's why it's clutch to really have, like, that solid connection with your partner one-on-one, where it's a safe space or whatever. Because them lines get blurred.
Very blurred. And it's like, again, I have my own traumas to deal with. I'm not trying to add that on there. Like,
Absolutely not.
Is a whole motherfucking rapist. No fucking not.
Wait, but like, okay, so when you're in a committed relationship with people, do you disclose your traumas to your partner?
That's a conversation to have.
So, in my last relationship, we had that conversation. It wasn't a conversation that you just kind of divulge into, but it was a conversation that was had. I do think once that conversation was had, it did explain a lot of where our sexual disconnect was. But it also put me in a space where I didn't want to recreate that for her in any way. So again, I'm back to square one, where it's like, yeah, you may be saying one thing, but I'm not trying to get you somewhere where it's like, oh, this shit reminds me of when I, you know what I mean? So it's just like, it's a very weird space, because you're trying to be, you want to deliver, you want to enjoy your sexual exploration with your partner, but you also have to acknowledge that there's a trauma there, and there could be a trigger point at any moment.
But what I will say about that is it feels like you're trying to control the narrative of her sexual experience because of her trauma, and in turn you're just not allowing her to express herself the way that she wants to express herself in this moment.
No, I get that. And again, that's because of my trauma.
Yeah.
So again, we're like,
So
trauma
she had
bonding.
trauma too?
Yeah, she had trauma.
Okay.
I shared my trauma, and it, to some degree, we trauma bond or lack thereof.
Yeah.
But we, eventually we figured it out. But it was difficult because again, we're each trying not to step on each other's toes.
Yeah.
While also trying to have a healthy sexual relationship on top of trying to have a healthy relationship.
Right.
And it's a lot of things to deal with because, again, you want to acknowledge, hey, I hear not only what you're saying, but I can relate to what there's empathy there, but also like, let's get fucking nasty, but at the same time, let's not. It's definitely one of those things where it's difficult.
I'm happy that was your experience. I can speak for myself. I think you guys know me to kind of like, I just like to share, I guess. And that's always been me.
I feel like you got to a point where you can finally share. And
it doesn't work. Oh. Well, even that, I like that you just said that too, because that helps to paint the picture I'm trying to paint. I feel like, especially like early on in my first like real serious relationships or whatever, sharing the things that I've been through, it definitely worked against me, especially upon breakup. It's like you work yourself up to finally be vulnerable enough to share and say, hey, this is what I experienced, to then for it to be thrown in your face. It makes it, I want to, like, for example, and I know we talked about this briefly, but like, let's use Quiet on the Set.
Yes.
So obviously that was a lot. It was very triggering, at least for me. Like, it was definitely triggering. To the point where like I had to hit pause, like, and just disconnect for a second. But with that being said, Drake Bell shares his story. And it's hella support and sad and whatever the case is. But then it clicked for me, like, someone commented about Raspy or something. Maybe it was something that went viral. I think it was just like,
I think everyone feels bad for Drake Bell, but laughed at Raspy.
Yeah, it was crazy because before that post, me and you were on the phone and talking about it, and it's like, bro, that is literally
even Terry
what
Crews.
I feel like it is for the Black experience. Like, when we open up and say, hey, we've been taken advantage of, we've been sexually assaulted as kids, we've been this, we've been that, it's like, it's funny. If you report a teacher, you must be gay. Yeah. If it was a man who violated you, you must be gay.
Or why didn't you fight him off?
Yeah, like,
you must have wanted it.
Thank you for saying that, because somebody commented on the Raspy post that we shared on the page, basically saying like, I don't know, but like, me being like me, I just couldn't see myself like being at 15 or whatever, allowing a man to violate me, and that that, and I'm just like, that shit sounds great
because you're not doing
but it's just as ignorant as the person that's like, well, shit, 400 years ago, if I was a slave, I wouldn't have went for none of that shit. And it's like, again, that shit sounds great, but when you really think about the psychology behind all of these things and what happens to you, nah.
Yeah. But I think it's something that you said is very important. The Black community, again, in my experience, I can't speak outside of it, our relationship with sex is so terrible. Like, whether it be consensual sex, where there's a whole bunch of manipulation in it a lot of times, or when it's unconsensual and it's super dismissed, especially when the counterpart or the person that's being distressed is a male. Those questions are asked, why you didn't stop him, or all these things, and we're not asking the real questions I need to be asking, which is, why is this happening at such a high rate? Why is there so much manipulation happening? It's like,
but you know why?
No.
Slavery. It always goes back to slavery.
I guess
victimization was demonized, so nobody was a victim back then when they were being raped by slave masters and stuff like that. It's just kind of like,
and it's such a long history of that for us, right? Where like I was
about to argue back and forth with you, not even argue, but like say I don't really know, but damn,
it's like in the DNA at some point.
Yeah.
it's unfortunate because it puts people in such an uncomfortable, like the Terry Crews of the world. It's like, how could you get hit on? You big as hell or whatever, or Christian Keys or whomever. But it's like, this shit is happening.
I mean,
and it's like, it's not only affecting you from a standpoint of physical harm. It's like, this is affecting my social life. This is affecting how I can present at jobs, because if I say something, I may not even get a job. I could be blackballed, blacklisted, whatever the case may be. There's so much nuance to it that people don't address, and they just look at it as like, if it were me, it ain't.
that's what I really want to say. Well, my nigga, we're not talking about you. We're talking about a real life situation, not make believe. But I'm just like,
and people fail to realize how paralyzing it can be just having sex. Like when you're young, sometimes like my first time, I was very nervous. So imagine had I been propositioned by somebody bigger than me, older than me, where I might have felt intimidated already. Like, I'm not sure what I would have done, said, or how I would have reacted in that situation.
And again, I think the most important part is a lot of this shit is predatory.
No, right.
In the Drake Bell on Quiet on the Set, he woke up to that shit.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying?
That was the part that for me, like, that shit broke me all the way
So
down.
that, again, I'm praying on, I can't wait till this kid goes to sleep because it's on.
Yeah, but it's even deeper than that. Like, this just about to sound crazy, but 93% of perpetrators know their victims. So whether that's, again, like I said earlier, like the neighbor next door, family friend, cousin, aunt, whatever, like that 93%. So we're sitting here thinking like it's somebody that is in down the alley or whatever, and it's like, no,
some stranger,
it's the person that's sitting in at your kitchen table.
It's Uncle Frank over there.
And he's like, oh, you got so big, you so handsome. Oh, girl, you look so good. I keep... and you don't even realize how uncomfortable it is until you creeped in your room at night.
Exactly.
What the fuck you doing here?
Like, oh, wow, you've grown up. But the reason why I say that is because, like, there's a key factor here, which is trust. It's almost impossible to do this without
gaining their
trust. You know, being around them, spending time around them,
and that's the predatory part.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're doing this with intent. There's an intent, and again, from the victim's not looking at it like that. You're like, wow, I love hanging out with so my friend or my cousin or my uncle or whatever.
Yeah, because let's be real, like, it's, you can put a kid in a room with a bad guy, and unless they look really like crazy or whatever, like, they're gonna find the good. Even if it's like that's just how a kid's mind is. They're always gonna try, even like an abuser, somebody who's physically abusive, they still come back, they still love them unconditionally, and whatever the case is. So I say that to say, like, it's hard to be able to differentiate who is good, who's bad.
Right.
When I think about good, like, is that even a mind process of people, right? When they're doing it, is it good or bad? Because again, it's for like self, like whatever, they're doing it for themselves, like for their self enjoyment or whatever the hell it may be. In most of these cases, is it something that would even be close? Well, okay, I guess here's a question for me: what is the age gap that differentiates molestation from pedophilia?
Adult,
yeah.
It's adult. Okay.
Yeah.
Because
adult to a child.
To a child. Oh, well, duh. Yeah, okay. Yeah. That was a stupid ass question. But okay, so
I mean,
no, because
you can
still be an adult and molesting a child.
Yeah, but it would be considered pedophilia.
It would still be considered.
Yes.
Okay.
Because you're an adult. So the act is molesting. But you would be categorized as a pedophile,
based on the age of it being a child. All right, thank you for that clarification. Again, dumbass question.
I don't think that was a dumbass question.
It's just like, because right now we see the whole Diddy thing, and then people are bringing up Jay-Z dating
Foxy,
and then
I think they're all
even
pedophiles.
Beyonce at such a young age.
Yeah.
At what point would that have been? At 17, is that considered pedophilia?
Yep.
I think it depends on
state to state.
state to state.
But why does that become a thing of law? You feel what I'm saying? Like that's why.
Because, and I was going to talk about this
Someone being 35-year-old dating a 17-year-old is not.
It's not okay. However, like we got to go back.
Nobody was 17.
We got to go back to like way kings. I mean, there's still obviously kings and shit, but like medieval times type shit where they were. What do they call it? The weddings.
Shotgun
child rights.
Arranged. Like, where they offer their 14, 12-year-old daughter.
The moment that she had her period.
Here you go. She's marrying a grown-ass man.
Yeah.
Like,
but during those times, and I guess that's a great. During those times, I don't think it was acknowledged.
It wasn't even a thing.
Like,
right.
So when did
and they also didn't at the time. They didn't necessarily keep track of ages like that. So it wasn't like a thing of like, oh,
knowing that
she's 14.
Yeah.
Like it was just like, oh, she's a woman now. It's like
right.
That's just it.
So is sociology one of the things that allow us to kind of like have this revelation of like we're taking advantage of people that
I think it's
cerebral
also
cortex hasn't even been developed
now
yet.
we have more knowledge of
information.
But I'm saying like
every regard
at 25,
side effects.
Because it didn't matter back then. What makes it relevant now? I guess that's the question.
The mental health side of things, the effect that it has on you.
Right.
Information. I think again, like the information itself, knowing more. To like back then, it was like whatever.
I mean, you could drink when you were 14.
Yeah.
Now it's 21. There's a reason for that.
What's the reason?
Your brain is still developing.
I just feel like because it's 18 and across America, we just have all the weird shit and the metrics and all that stuff. So I guess my question is because these practices still happen today and they're not frowned upon.
Oh yes, they are.
In certain places, they're like in certain places where you can just have multiple wives at young ages, like
Where?
African countries.
Where?
I should have wrote that down. I didn't know we were gonna get here.
First of all, don't interrogate my man's like that. You know what I'm saying?
No, but that's good because we need to. I think it's important that we have source code or whatever behind that. But like even like stuff like they having multiple wives and stuff, which is like super frowned upon here for the most part. I mean, it's opening up a little bit more. It's like regular practice that I can.
Yes, I know that.
But you feel what I'm saying? It's like
my grandfather had 2 wives.
I'm sorry, what?
My grandfather had 2 wives.
Where he from?
He lives in Egypt.
Yeah, see, so doesn't get more African than Egypt, but well, it does. But it definitely does. But my point is, it's not frowned upon there. So
I frowned upon it.
Yeah, of course. But you also live in a Western society that frowns upon it. So I'm saying,
out there he the man.
But
out there he's lacking.
He not the man out there?
Nah, too.
We were having a discussion of good and bad, or right and wrong. It's like, who draws that line when there's practices like that happening?
Yeah.
And
I think a lot of these practices that we're debating about, somebody's human rights were being inflicted on by the other person.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, somebody having 2 wives, who's benefiting off of that? A man. That's a patriarchal society. You know what I'm saying?
As far too.
It goes
because again,
it depends.
Because again, we look at it from that
depending on
his financial situation as well.
So your whole relationship is based off of financial gain?
It's not only, but again,
how much more is he benefiting? Like what's he benefiting from by having 2 wives? More sex? More what? So
more sex.
So then
talk to this girl because she's getting on my nerves. Let me fly over here with you, and she take care of the kids while we go off on vacation.
All right, let's
come back. Topic. I got you. Yeah.
I mean, I'm just because again, I think the point I'm saying is like, I agree. I think it's terrible. But I'm saying for people that are practicing these kind of things, it's like, who's drawing the lines?
I don't even care about who's drawing the line. The line has been drawn, and y'all got to get it together. Like,
it's not me. I'm not on the camera.
He was talking about.
I'm talking about violating. Like,
Yeah.
No, I mean, yeah,
A child is a child.
I agree with that.
Child
Totally.
is a child.
Yeah.
Is a child.
As a child.
Yeah, and that's funny because it's like you do that and then you have children. It's like, how the hell do you feel after you have children? But then there are people that are doing this to their own children. So
Yeah,
it's like,
no. I couldn't fucking imagine. But I mean, it's a thing. It's a thing.
Yeah, because like going back to the Quiet on the Set, I think the carelessness of Drake Bell's mother spoke volumes.
Hey, bro, that right there,
And I think that's a lot of like,
I just got goosebumps.
because here's another thing that happens where people are opened, and this happens a lot where the boyfriend touches the daughter, she tells the mother, and somehow
still don't believe.
they don't believe them,
Or kicks her out.
or she becomes the villain instead of the victim. And there's so much of that that's absolutely prevalent in these situations. And it's like, how do you even rectify this where, like, if you can't go to your own parent, where your partner, the parent's partner is going to the extreme and touching me, like, what the hell do you do as a person? Of course you're gonna shut down. Of course
You
you're gonna
shut
have trauma.
down. You feel hopeless. You feel unseen and
Like, how do you
invisible.
even recover from that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because there's so many relationships that have been damaged now. Your personal relationship with yourself is damaged because
Yep.
now you just don't believe in yourself. You don't
feel like you're worthy.
You're
like,
questioning yourself if you did anything to put yourself in this situation. And then on top of that, your parent looks at you like you're a villain. Like, well, what did you do?
or like they don't believe you.
Yeah, they don't
again, like
believe
you're
you,
a liar.
or you must have provoked this.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to have that. I mean,
That's one way of looking at it. The other end of the spectrum is that your mother or father would believe you, and you're still too scared to speak up. Because that was my situation. My mom only found out because I was recording a song when I was already well into my 20s in the basement,
She heard.
and she heard. She
I ended up
heard the content of it.
telling my mom in my early 20s as well, like, yo, listen. She was just like, oh, I should have known. The same family, da-da-da, blah, blah. I'm just like...
and I
See, the thing is,
I shoulda known.
The thing is, my mother was
don't
like,
like that.
my mother used to not interrogate us, but she was very adamant about, yo, if anybody touches you here, there, or there, you let me know.
I think I'm
Like-
glad that you just said that, because at least my intent for doing this was to, we protect the kids. I think that we have a responsibility to do exactly what you... It's funny, me and Kissing just had that conversation today too. Like, yo, Noah's at the age where, like, we gotta teach him about boundaries for himself and then to respect other people's boundaries as well.
Right.
I think that's imperative. Yeah, you have to create that dynamic where it's like, listen, talk to me. But I mean, like you just said,
Sometimes it doesn't. Yeah, sometimes it doesn't.
so what would you say, like,
Why didn't I speak
if you
up?
could speak to younger you or somebody in a similar position right now, what would you say to them to get them to just say something?
I'm not certain that I would.
Say anything to them?
Yeah.
You don't think there's anything that
I don't,
anybody could have
because
said?
I don't know if even today I'm not certain that it would have helped. Right? Like, even when even speaking up when I did speak up, it was like, why didn't you tell me? But we come from a family where I can't speak for everybody's family, but my family is very close knit, and it's also kind of like, well, what happens here stays here. So outside, it was like, I still seen that cousin. I still seen them, even after it came out. Sometimes at my mom's house, where it was like, yo, did you forget what I told you?
Yeah.
And I think my mom has been through her share of traumas as well. I think disassociating is a thing.
And I
where-
think that, I mean, obviously I don't know, but I'm just trying to think, like, obviously 2 kids. I'm assuming said person was niece or cousin to her or something
Niece.
like that. So you hope that, I mean, Was there a conversation with, like a sit down, whatever? You don't even know what?
Nope. I highly doubt that it was ever even a conversation because it was so far removed from when it happened, and also again, like it's just kind of like, oh, well, like let's not not even talk about that,
which I hate. I hate that shit.
So, and that was never said. It was never said to me.
No. But just naturally, it's kind of like sweeping
and a part of me feels like I
Yeah.
didn't say anything because I knew that it would have caused friction within the family. That's a big thing too. Like where you almost feel not like you're at fault, but if I say something now, it's gonna be a problem. Now nobody rocks with each other. Now it's like I won't see my cousins for forever,
right.
And they ain't even the ones who did it.
Right.
So here's my question. To follow up on your question, I'll ask the question and answer your question as well. I think I would have, if I knew now, well, knew then what I know now. I think I would have spoke up because my process is, was I the only one? Right? Because I'm allowing this to go to whomever.
I deal with that now.
You know what I mean?
I deal with that now.
I think,
Same.
like, if I have to put you on Front Street and embarrass you in order for that to stop, so be it. If that has to put something between the family and we have to work and rebuild a relationship, so be it. Because I think that is much more damaging, just allowing that to happen multiple times possibly, than being open about it and nipping it in the bud.
But you know what?
And I'm not saying for you.
No, right. But you know what? It just kind of like going back a little bit. I also, again, I enjoyed it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say too.
Ignorantly, I enjoyed it. So it was like I never wanted to confront the issue like it was an issue.
Yeah,
because for
it
me,
wasn't
it
an
wasn't
issue.
an issue.
But it's like this. I was thinking about this driving here. Like, obviously, growing up as a kid, you know that stealing is bad, right?
Right.
But has that stopped us from stealing from the gas station?
Especially when you get away with it.
To a degree. And again, I see where you're coming from. But again, there's certain shit I do with no regard. And there's certain shit that I do with intent to get away with.
Right.
Stealing from a gas station, I'm not just taking the chips and walking out the store.
Yeah, but I guess I say that because even when you do it with intent to sneak it and put it in your pocket or whatever the case is, like, you never think that it's that bad until it's that bad and you realize, oh shit, they're calling the police. They're calling my parents. Like it's to the next level. So,
but I always felt like I always thought about like what the worst case scenario was when I did anything bad, and it was like, oh, I might get my ass beat, but I'm still willing to do it.
So, all right, I mean,
just a daredevil. Not facts.
Like
so for me, in my experience, right, like 5 years old, shit's happening to me, exposed to porn, whatever the case is.
But at 5, I wasn't thinking like that, obviously.
But that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So then it's like, all right, all of this shit has already happened. Like I've been exposed already. Clearly, like I seen on video, I fucked around and found my mom and my stepfather's
Cosmetology?
Not
Kama Sutra.
It's Kama Sutra book of all different types of positions. Like
of course you know.
Again, I say that like at 5, like and then got put on to the A and B side after you know.
Yeah.
So again at 5, 6, it's like, okay, well this is the adults are doing it, whatever. What I'm saying is it seemed normal, right?
Yeah.
Now again, obviously I know like probably shouldn't be doing this. Like it's happening in secret places behind closed doors. When the room is, you know, the lights are off, whatever. It's sneaking essentially. But again,
and it's adults, right? Like I would hope that you didn't go in there and find child porn.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
That would be some
Wow.
wow.
You know what I mean? Because I think that would be the weirdest part. Where it's like,
No.
like this must be super normal because these children are doing it on this tape.
Right.
That would be crazy. So I think we know like subconsciously like what.
But I think
these are
to
acts
think
of an
like
adult.
as a child, like, I mean, obviously you were a brave child, thinking like, oh yeah, like I think I would have spoke up.
No,
I don't think
I don't think I would have. I know I said the question
Now
he asked is knowing
now.
like what would you have said
What
to
would
that
you-
person? Would I have spoken up? I just knowing what I know now and just knowing how much it has affected me as an adult, I think I would have
I
spoken
think it's
up.
more so about what would you say to the next child now. So
Yeah, I mean that's so difficult to even imagine.
that's why
having
I asked that,
conversation.
because we've all experienced these things, right? And we've all been in a situation where we didn't say anything, at least not in real time when it was actually
And
happening.
for me, not saying anything wasn't for your reason because I was enjoying it.
Oh yeah.
It was. I wouldn't say I was enjoying it or not enjoying it. It was just, and I think my situation is so different because, like, and I was also molested by a cousin, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't really know these people. Again, I met my family when I was 5 from foster care, from 8 months to 5.
Yeah.
So, and you already know we have to joke about I wasn't even speaking English initially. So there was so much
Pablo.
different things that I was trying to like come to terms with that it happened, but it wasn't like the thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like I'm trying to make sure like I don't piss my
stay home,
grandmother off or I don't piss my mom off.
So I'm not worried about that.
So you know
Or
what I'm
get
saying?
displaced again.
Yeah, or, you know, I'm not even thinking that because I don't even know how I got here. And like, you know, you hear the stories. It's just like I'm here now in Boston after being in the Bronx for most of my life.
Right, so let's just make it work.
It's just like, all right, I'm trying to figure out who these people are. Oh, you guys are my cousins. I'm just learning. Like this is all a learning process.
Like you don't even know these people to know,
I don't
be your
know
cousins.
these people, right? Like I moved to North Carolina when I was 9 years old, so that was 4 years after I met them. When I were in another state, and I'm, 4 years ain't a long time. I've known you guys for longer than that.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? So it's like, it's not
I think for me,
like COVID was 4 years ago. Does that feel like 4 years?
it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. I don't even want to talk about that.
So it's just like it's one of those things where it's like I know it happened. It's definitely triggering and traumatizing to think that other people have went through it and like I know was wrong and I knew it was wrong then in a sense. Like, you know what I mean? I know if somebody's telling me don't say some shit, even at 5, it's like
I don't think that.
but I didn't identify it
I
as
didn't
that.
hear. I don't think, especially in the beginning, I heard "don't say anything." I think that
It wasn't don't say anything more than it's between me and you, which is the
I don't
same
even think
thing.
I
never heard that.
I don't even think I heard that. I think that
It was clear for me.
so.
Because it's just like, what are we doing?
Where my mom would go wrong at, and I think it's not just my mom, especially like the research I've been doing over the last however many weeks we've been supposed to be having this conversation.
That we somehow got back to.
Right. That we said we weren't going to talk about.
This was the conversation, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. I thought we weren't going to have it, but here
So
we are.
pedophiles, they are very calculated and strategic, right? Like we just said, from grooming to I forget the other word that we used.
Predatory, manipulation.
Manipulative.
All of those things. Like so.
Isolation.
The reality of the situation is you can't
Say that again. I'm sorry. Hold that. Say that word again.
Isolation.
Isolation.
So
That's a big one.
you can't get away with doing stuff like this to a kid that is gonna tell, that is confident enough, that knows, no, like you can't violate me like that, whatever the case is. It's usually the ones that are dealing with, like she just said, like, they're isolated. Neglected is the perfect word.
There you go.
They're yearning for love. They don't have that at home, the attention and everything like that. So a good predator sees right through that. And that's what happened to me as I got older, like 8 or 9 or whatever the case is. Like somebody saw from, school, I got in trouble or whatever the case is. And one of the teacher assistants came to help with the troubled youth, and then I don't even know what the fuck happened after that.
Right.
So I say that to say, parents at home, like you guys got to be mindful of who you're leaving your kids with.
Facts.
I have a rule. I don't play that shit. There's probably 2 people, maybe 3 people that my kids, not even my kids, because Kissing don't even play that shit either, that Dakota can go with, which is Nana, Saja's brother and Saja's aunt. That is it. I don't play that shit. We're not doing sleepovers. We're not going to whoever's house. I'll call out of work. I won't work. No, absolutely not. Because again, that's how it was for me. Since 5 years old, my mom was leaving us with my aunt that was a little older, who's watching us. Watching. Man, listen. Anyhow, all bad. All bad.
Kids watching.
And sometimes and that's something that I speak to my mom about now, where I feel like I lacked what do you call it? Affection.
Yeah. Same.
My dad died when I was 1, right? So like my mom felt like she had 2 boys at the time. So her thing was discipline. So if anybody came with that soft, I'm clinging.
Same.
I'm clinging. So like naturally it was easy for pleasure to take over. As opposed to like, and then even me not
again, it starts off as like a hand.
Right.
Or a little hug, hey, and then
but even me not telling her kind of goes back to the discipline. If I would have gotten in trouble for that,
you could only imagine what.
Bro, like I'm thinking I did something wrong. Right. So don't tell. Right. So I'm not finna.
So here's my curiosity.
Now that is exactly one of the reasons why I didn't say anything.
Someone made a comment earlier that they were made aware, hey, if someone touches you here, here, and here. Was this before or after?
Before. I mean, it happened when I was 4, right? So it happened between the ages of 4 and 5.
But I'm saying, when did your mom make you aware?
As early as I can remember, and I heard it more often after it had already happened. So,
with that being said, I guess why wasn't it easier for you knowing, like, because I'm assuming at this point you're like, all right,
because I didn't want it to stop.
Okay.
So if there was any chance of me feeling that, me personally, if there was any chance of me feeling it again, I would have.
Okay. I
would have opted to do that again because it, like, again, pleasure. That was my first experience that I can remember with pleasure.
If said abuser knows what they're doing, right? Chances are it's going to feel good. And that's part of the manipulation in a way too. It feels good to them. Essentially, they'll reciprocate, whatever to you, which in turn turns into pleasure for you as well.
Right.
This just makes me so angry. It's tough. It's a tough conversation to have because it's such a layered conversation. I'm sure we've peeled maybe like 2 layers of how deep this is.
If even. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, we're all being very vulnerable and opening ourselves up to our own personal experiences. One, this shit is still happening, which is crazy, because we're talking about 20 years ago for pretty much everyone here, and now we're in a new generation. Well, 2 generations removed because we're all millennials here, right?
Son.
Yeah.
So there's Generation Z, and now we're in alphas.
What? When did they come out with that today?
No, alpha's
that's been
what the
fuck? Generation Alpha, your child's an alpha. Both of your children. I think
Dakota's definitely an alpha.
Yeah.
Nigga. I learn something new every day.
Get with the times. But so there's 2 generations of people that are possibly going to be exposed to the same shit. And my question is, how do you nip this shit in the bud?
And that's
but you know what?
Scariest thing today.
I feel like
it breaks my fucking
I hope
heart.
that it's not happening. God forbid.
Come on, girl.
No, I'm scared. Like I told you, I'm scared to leave Adro with anybody. I told you, he was upstairs with my dad. I'm like, Adro, you okay?
No,
my dad's like, he's fine. I said, Adriel, are you all right? Right. He was tight. But like, to think like I'm.
You can just hope that your children trust you more than maybe you might have your parents.
But here's the issue. When I hear somebody like you speaking, you're like, I enjoyed it, which is why I didn't say anything.
Correct.
That's a problem.
No, right.
And I'm not here to, like, I'm not judging, but I'm saying that's a thing that's happening. And it's like, that sucks that people are giving you, putting you in a position where you experience that kind of feeling to the point where you're keeping it to yourself because you want it to keep happening no matter how wrong it is. That's fucked up.
Do you think-
but even when it doesn't feel good, right? Or you know it's wrong, you don't want it to happen, you don't like it or whatever. Again, when you're a kid that's going through neglect and and you need love and you need attention and all of that, like you'll subject yourself and put yourself out there and seek the abuse because you get attention. That's the only time that somebody is giving you their undivided attention.
Right.
But man,
that just bugs me. It bugs me because
it's something that we won't understand. Like again, I mean, what's that called? When you get kidnapped and you develop feelings, Stockholm.
Yeah.
A lot of times, like you can't even understand why you might feel that way, or why you might subject yourself to the abuse just to feel.
Yeah.
Just to feel like you know.
But even as a kid, it's I couldn't even imagine like trying to grasp the idea of any bit of like I'm not trying to say that it's okay, but like, you know, why you would subject yourself for I don't know.
Yeah, because it's like you don't want to.
Nothing makes sense.
You don't want to go as far as to start blaming victims.
Oh no.
But there's just so many questions, and it's like as someone that's experienced, and we've all experienced to some degree, it's like, do you feel bad that you let I mean, it's something that happened that I don't necessarily let it kind of dictate my life, but it to some degree it does.
I mean, let's talk about that. I like that question because, did you have this experience with just one person?
Yes.
What about you? What?
No, but I also wasn't with just family members. It was I was playing house. All of a sudden, I'm like, holy shit! But it's like,
well, then and I mean more so of like a molestation, like where there was a older,
Oh, they were older.
Yeah, one person.
I was the kid.
Yeah.
But it's like playing it. You know, it was like maybe I should be the parent because you guys.
I remember being in preschool, 4 years old, and like climbing behind the cubbies with this girl, kissing.
Same.
Because
literally
I was,
and that's another
seeking.
thing, and we're gonna cut soon, but I think that's very important, right? Because I think at a young age, outside of the molestation thing, like you are kind of exploratory within your sexuality, maybe younger than we'd like to admit. I don't know if molestation plays a part. Like kissing a girl or whatever, I think that's all plays a part in it.
But I didn't do that when I was that age.
Yeah, and obviously, I don't sit here and study this shit, but like, I think that if there's a 4-year-old that's doing that, one, that's a red flag.
Super red flag. Usually kids are more like, ew, boys, or ew, girls.
Well,
Exactly.
I mean, Dakota is
They be
very,
like, I got a boyfriend. Like, girl, you're 5. Sit down.
Dakota's very, very, very affectionate. Like, she loves kisses or whatever the case is. We'll be just chilling on the couch and she'll come and just start kissing me or whatever. So I can't say that that's like, but that's not like sexual.
It's different. Yeah,
you
it's
feel
different.
me?
Yeah.
So
I get that because I'm like
kissing. If she came and started kissing me on the lips, like I'd be like, "What the fuck is going on?" Like,
But I would watch it like Full House or something, right? And like Stephanie has a boyfriend at 8, and she like kisses him on the cheek. I mean, is that again? How
8 is a little different, and I do think that that's where you first start to like.
Yeah, I'm not saying 5,
he's cute,
but I'm saying 8 is pretty young.
Yeah, but even that is the term. I don't like the term sexual with an 8-year-old.
That's fair.
You know, because Noah's going through this right now, where it's a crush. He is like infatuated with this girl in his class, and me and his mom were just talking about it earlier. This guy, but like it's innocent. He's not talking about. I mean. He talks about them getting married one day.
That's cute.
He needs to get her number because he knows that they have to stay in contact. One day they're gonna get married, type shit.
That's beautiful.
That's
right.
Completely innocent.
Absolutely.
He's not talking about having sex with her.
Yeah.
He's not talking about kissing her, touching her, or whatever. It's like I have a crush on her. She's cute, and one day we're gonna get married. Like
as long as I can remember, it was sexual.
No, the same here.
Yeah,
but
that's the scary
because
part.
of
I know.
What the fuck was happening?
That's fair. I mean,
I do have a feeling that this is going to be a part 2.
We definitely have to have a part 2 on this because I would like to expand on a lot more of the stuff. But with that being said, we are going to wrap this one up. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on the Nun The Wizer podcast.
Sorry.
I mean, I didn't even know we were going to get here, but here we are. But, ladies and gentlemen, we got El Presidente in the building. The Commander-in-Chief, Mr. Big Trip, holding it down. Audio extraordinaire, podcast Poe. Hey. I know that camera's not on anymore.
Guys, pay attention to your kids.
Please.
Stop leaving them with every Joe Schmo because you want to go out on a date, because you want to go do... And I feel like even saying that is a little... That's not fair.
Yes, it is.
Hold on.
Sorry. I'm sorry. No.
It's not fair because I know somebody that I had to have a conversation with not too long ago. That's not their situation. Mm-hmm. They're a single parent and they have to still go to work or whatever and pay bills and provide. So it's not always situations like that, but like everything comes last when we talk about these kids.
Everything.
Whether it's work, whether it's relationships, who you're dating, whatever, parents, siblings, all of that shit comes last. Your kids come first. Pay attention. Mm-hmm. Pay attention.
Yep.
I'm going to say it one more time because I think it's going over a lot of people's head. Pay attention. Show them that you see them, you hear them, because they can feel and they start to seek and look for that in other places. You don't want this to be them in 20 years having this conversation.
And not to drag it, but make sure that when you are disciplining your children, that you are fair, that you allow them to speak back, that you allow them to also voice how they feel, because you can't expect them to speak up to you when something's wrong if they can't come to you, or if they can't
when
really
something's wrong.
Yeah, when something's wrong. Yeah.
With you.
Yeah, with you. You know what I'm saying? So,
and with that, ladies and gentlemen, I will say make sure that you follow us on our YouTube channel at Nun The Wizer Podcast. We got plenty of content up there. Obviously, rock with us on IG. We go crazy on there. The TikTok. We got some big stuff in store for you guys. Comment, like, subscribe. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that's another one, and we out.
We out here.
Nun The Wizer.